Nazi hierarchy, plotted his downfall. He concocted a story that Röhm was plotting a coup, and Hitler believed him. On June the 30th, 1934, when Röhm was on holiday in Bavaria, he was arrested and taken to a nearby prison. 2 days later, he was shot. The armed forces were grateful, glad to see Röhm dead and the power of the stormtroopers moderated. To show their gratitude, they volunteered to swear an oath of allegiance to Hitler personally. The man who, now on President Hindenburg's death, was not just Germany's chancellor, but also her head of state.
Ich schwöre bei Gott, diesen heiligen Eid, dass ich dem Führer des Deutschen Reiches und Volkes, Adolf Hitler, dem
Somebody was reading and we had to lift our arm and at the very end say, that's my oath.
And how seriously did you and your colleagues take this oath?
Very serious. I mean, a soldier, this accompanied my whole life till the very end. I mean, oath is oath. There's no doubt that I can't break the oath, or otherwise I might commit suicide if I planned something else. But this is very serious, the oath for a soldier.
With Röhm dead, Hitler appeared to have restored order. The revolution on the streets had subsided, and with his hold on power secure, Hitler would come here to relax, in the mountains above Berchtesgaden in southern Bavaria. In 1938, a tea house was built on top of the high Obersalzberg, so that Hitler and his guests could enjoy the view. Hitler's own house was lower down the slopes of the mountain, and gradually a whole complex of buildings grew up around it. This was the official guest house. But all that remains of Hitler's own house, the Berghof, is rubble. The building demolished to prevent it becoming a memorial, and quick-growing trees planted to obscure the famous view. When Hitler stayed here, as well as when he was in Berlin, the whole Nazi regime revolved around him. His personality determined the way in which Germany was governed. And his was not the daily regime of a workaholic. Hitler was indolent, as those who worked closely for him discovered.
Hitler normally appeared shortly before lunch, quickly read through the newspaper cuttings of Reich Press Chief Dietrich, and then went into lunch. When Hitler stayed at the Obersalzberg, it was even worse. There he never left his room before 2 in the afternoon. Then he went into lunch. He spent most afternoons taking a walk. In the evenings, straight after dinner, there were films.
In the 12 years of his rule in Germany, Hitler produced the biggest confusion in government that has ever existed in a civilized state.
I've sometimes secured decisions from him, even ones about important matters, without his ever asking to see the relevant files. He took the view that many things sorted themselves out on their own, if one did not interfere.
A very different picture of Hitler was projected here, at the vast complex of stadiums built in Nuremberg for the party's annual rally. What the public saw of Hitler in Nuremberg in the 1930s was a confident and strong leader whose oratory promised a new, dynamic and powerful Germany.
Heil, meine Jugend! Wir wollen ein Volk sein. Und ihr, meine Jugend, sollt dieses Volk nun werden. Ihr könnt nicht anders sein, als mit uns verbunden. Und wenn die großen Kolonnen unserer Bewegung heute siegend durch Deutschland marschieren, dann weiß ich, ihr schließt euch den Kolonnen an. Und wir wissen, vor uns liegt Deutschland, in uns marschiert Deutschland und hinter uns kommt Deutschland.
He was meant to be seen as the all-powerful, all-knowing leader who prevailed over a system of total order. But the contrast between image and reality was quite a stark one, because far from it being a very orderly structure of command, in fact, it was very disorganized and rather chaotic. It is really quite a remarkable system, if you can call it a system at all, of one where there is no collective government, but yet where the head of state himself actually doesn't spend all his time dictating.
Hitler and the Nazis created a unique and peculiar form of government. Hitler was surrounded by acolytes who knew that their future depended on finding a way to please their Führer. They strove always to be near him, accompanying him on whatever trips took his fancy. Though Hitler may have had little interest in regular hours of work or the detail of policies, he did have visions of what he wanted for Germany. And as Hitler talked in an endless monologue, ambitious Nazis would listen to him closely. Then, on their own initiative, they tried to think of ways in which his vision could become a reality. They made up the detailed policy themselves and said they were acting on the will of the Führer.
Sie beriefen sich auf eine Entscheidung des Führers, auf ein Wort des Führers, auf eine Meinung des Führers. Ich muss Ihnen sagen, es war zum Schluss eher fragwürdig, ob das so war. Da stand einer an der Tür zufällig, als Adolf Hitler zu Tisch ging und mit seinem Nachbarn was zurief, und der hat gesagt, das ist jetzt der Wille des Führers.
From the first, Hitler openly said he didn't have detailed policies.
Sie uns Ihr detailliertes Programm, kann ich nur zur Antwort geben, für eine Regierung nach eurer Wirtschaft, nach euren Werten, nach eurer Zersetzung muss man das deutsche Volk von Grund auf neu aufbauen. Wir wollen nicht liegen und wollen nicht schwindeln. Ich habe deshalb es abgelehnt, jemals vor dieses Volk hinzutreten und billige Versprechungen zu geben.
But Hitler was open in saying what he wanted from the German economy, chiefly the weapons to build a new German army. Rearmament became his economic priority. The Nazis increased the army's budget so much in their first year of power that the army wasn't even able to spend all of it. The Nazis also promised to rid Germany of unemployment, and they did, mainly through huge work creation schemes like the Autobahn building program. But building armaments and Autobahns could only be a short-term solution to Germany's economic problems.
Es kam ja durch Bau der Autobahn kein einziges Tütchen Kaffee, kein einziges Brötchen in das Schaufenster, was zum Verkauf bestimmt war. Für den Fachmann heißt das, beide Komplexe wurden ausschließlich auf